One pixel, if it does its job right, doesn't have a lot of power. It's the pixel on your computer screen that goes dead. That's the pixel that you're gonna notice. You'll notice that little black pixel that isn't there. So it can't get any simpler than one pixel, right? I'm Kyle McCoy. I'm a pixel artist. Pixel artist, depending on the medium, can be a digital pixel artist. I prefer a more hands-on approach. I work with something called Perler Fuse Beads, which are little multicolored pieces of plastic about the size of a pea that you then arrange on a grid to form whatever image you're trying to recreate. You weld them together using heat, and once it cools, they're all melted together, forms a beautiful piece of pixel art. I got my work desk in front of a window, and of course I look out the window a lot, and what I'm looking through I realized was the window screen, which is of course a grid. So I almost have a pixel art filter for the whole outside world that I'm seeing out there, and it's like, how would that translate into pixel art? When you're painting a picture, there are an infinite number of ways you can draw a line. But when it's pixel art, there are only so many ways you can arrange these dots of color, right? So I try to find the smallest detail I can, and I know that's going to be one dot, and I just work outwards from that. In Springfield, for example, I knew I wanted it to say Quickie Mart on the Quickie Mart, and the smallest amount of pixels I could use is 1. So I arranged it to say Quickie Mart, and I expanded out from that. Just moving a bead 1 or 2 spaces to the right or to the left can make all the difference in what's recognizable to the eye, how the human eye will interpret what it's looking at. Yeah. You really have to choose carefully about what you're trying to depict, because it needs to be something very recognizable. Darkwing Duck villains are much easier to recognize based on just the color and character structure than James Bond villains. I'm trying to recreate things that people are going to recognize. With this medium, as simplistic as it is, if it's something only I know about, and then I create it even less detailed than I see it, I mean, nobody's going to recognize it. People are going to like what they're familiar with, what they can point at and say, oh, I remember that level in Donkey Kong, that was the worst. These very simplistic characters, they can own their own styles, even if these styles were designed 50 years ago. But like no other dog in pop culture history can pull off the blue collar with the yellow nameplate hanging off of it. You know what I mean? It's like that's always going to be Scooby-Doo. Spider-Man is always going to be in an all-red suit with blue on the sides and the white eyes. Like that's always going to be Spider-Man. And it's just blue, red, and white. You can't like own color, man. But you can make it so recognizable that it's like you own it.
Anything else you think we missed?
I mean, I don't know if you want to get some takes with my shirt off, but...
Turn it off.